The Third Battle of Kharkov was a series of battles on the Eastern Front of World War II, undertaken by Nazi Germany's Army Group South against the Soviet Red Army, around the city of Kharkov between February 19 and March 15, 1943. Known to the German side as the Donets Campaign, and in the Soviet Union as the Donbass and Kharkov operations, the German counterstrike led to the recapture of the cities of Kharkov and Belgorod. As the German Sixth Army was encircled in the Battle of Stalingrad, the Red Army undertook a series of wider attacks against the rest of Army Group South. These culminated on January 2, 1943 when the Red Army launched Operation Star and Operation Gallop, which between January and early February broke German defenses and led to the Soviet recapture of Kharkov, Belgorod, Kursk, as well as Voroshilovgrad and Izium. These victories caused participating Soviet units to overextend themselves. Freed on February 2 by the surrender of the German Sixth Army, the Red Army Central Front turned its attention west and on February 25 expanded its offensive against both Army Group South and Army Group Center. Months of continuous operations had taken a heavy toll on the Soviet forces and some divisions were reduced to 1,000 to 2,000 combat-effective soldiers. On February 19, Field Marshal Erich von Manstein launched his Kharkov counterstrike, using the fresh II SS Panzer Corps and II Panzer armies. The Wehrmacht flanked, encircled, and defeated the Red Army's armored spearhead south of Kharkov. This enabled Manstein to renew his offensive against the city of Kharkov proper on March 7. Despite orders to encircle Kharkov from the north, the SS Panzer Corps instead decided to directly engage Kharkov on March 11. This led to 4 days of house-to-house fighting before Kharkov was recaptured by the SS Division Leibstandard on March 15. The German forces recaptured Belgorod 2 days later, creating the salient which in July 1943 would lead to the Battle of Kursk. The German offensive cost the Red Army an estimated 90,000 casualties. The house-to-house fighting in Kharkov was also particularly bloody for the German SS Panzer Corps, which had suffered approximately 4,300 men killed and wounded by the time operations ended in mid-March. At the time of the attack, Manstein could count on the 4th Panzer Army, composed of 48th Panzer Corps, the SS Panzer Corps and the 1st Panzer Army, with the 40th and 57th Panzer Corps. The 48th Panzer Corps was composed of the 6th, 11th and 17th Panzer Divisions, while the SS Panzer Corps was organized with the 1st SS, 2nd SS and 3rd SS Panzer Division. In early February, the combined strength of the SS Panzer Corps was an estimated 20,000 soldiers. The 4th Panzer Army and the 1st Panzer Army were situated south of the Red Army's bulge into German lines, with the 1st Panzer Army to the east of the 4th Panzer Army. The SS Panzer Corps was deployed along the northern edge of the bulge, on the northern front of Army Group South. The Germans were able to amass around 160,000 men against the 210,000 Red Army soldiers. The German Wehrmacht was understrength, especially after continuous operations between June 1942 and February 1943, to the point where Hitler appointed a committee made up of Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel, Martin Bormann, and Hans Lammers, to recruit 800,000 new able-bodied men, half of whom would come from non-essential industries. The effects of this recruitment were not seen until around May 1943, when the German armed forces were at their highest strength since the beginning of the war, with 9.5 million personnel. The 4th Panzer Army was commanded by General Hermann Hoff, while the 1st Panzer Army fell under the leadership of General Eberhard von Mackensen. The 6th, 11th and 17th Panzer Divisions were commanded by Generals Walther von Hunersdorf, Hermann Bulk and Fridolin von Senger und Etterlin, respectively. SS Panzer Corps was commanded by General Paul Hauser, who also had SS Division Totenkopf under his command. Army Group South's Donets Campaign had cost the Red Army over 80,000 personnel casualties. Of these troops lost, an estimated 45,200 were killed or went missing, while another 41,200 were wounded. Between April and July 1943, the Red Army took its time to rebuild its forces in the area and prepare for an eventual renewal of the German offensive, known as the Battle of Kursk. Following the German success at Kharkov, Hitler was presented with two options. The first, known as the backhand method, was to wait for the inevitable renewal of the Soviet offensive and conduct another operation similar to that of Kharkov, allowing the Red Army to take ground, extend itself and then counterattack and surround it. The second, or the forehand method, encompassed a major German offensive by Army Group South and Center against the protruding Kursk salient. Hitler favored the forehand method, which led to the Battle of Kursk.